So talking about replenishment in functionality in EWM, it's categorized under planned and unplanned. Within planned, we have something which is based on replenishment, which is based on min and max quantity. Now we can set up the replenishment at the bin level, which is generally is the case for the fixed bin, and we can have it at the storage type level, which is used generally for the dynamic bins, wherein you don't have any tagging of any material with the bin. Now under the plan, we have uh, create part replenishment, which is basically to do with the production supply area replenishment functionality, and then we have order based. So under all these three, we will be basically scheduling a batch job which will be running at a certain frequency to move the stock from the overstock area or from the place where the extra quantity is you are keeping, and then we replenish your bins from where you will pick the quantity to dispatch to the customer or for the production supply. Under the unplanned, we have direct and automatic one. These are event based, or there is no batch job which is involved, so it is done at the it happens at the runtime. So in case of direct replenishment, replenishment strategy, how it works is that suppose your operator is picking the stock, and he's supposed to dispatch 10 quantity against a outbound delivery, right, to a customer. So he has picked 8 quantity, and when he picks the ninth one, he finds that it's physically damaged and there are only 10 quantities available in the bin, so which means that he can't pick any other stock. So he will update something called as exception code in the warehouse task. These warehouse tasks are for the picking activity, so he will update it and it will save it. So system will trigger a replenishment related warehouse task or a warehouse request based on the setup you have done in the configuration. And assuming that you have a separate operator or a person responsible to move the stock from replenishment area to your for area from where you do the picking. So that operator will use the reports or the handle device if the user is is given one in the warehouse. So then he will access the information and he'll process the warehouse request and task, and he will pick up the product and he will get the product at the picking location or the picking bin, basically from where the operator has to actually pick the product and against the outbound delivery and send it to the customer. So that's what the unplanned one is means over here. In terms of configuration, these steps are more or less same. It's the same node. uh, so for one storage type, you can activate all 5 types of replenishment strategy. So that is an enhanced feature. In ECC, we used to have mainly the min-max quantity based replenishment, both at storage type level or the bin level. And it is for the fixed bin. This one is for the dynamic bins. Now, what it means, min-max means is that in the product master, you will update in the material master or the product master, you will update the quantity of the max quantity a bin can hold and the minimum quantity below which the replenishment has to get triggered. So how it works is pretty simple. Now you have the max quantity updated and min quantity updated. System will verify, so you're continuously picking the stock from your bin, right, to against the outbound deliveries. Now the current stock, if at any given point of time goes below your minimum quantity which you have supplied in the material master or updated in the material master, then uh, you know uh, system will flag that material as relevant for the replenishment. Once your batch job runs, let's say 4 p.m. or whatever frequency at which it is supposed to run, it will consider those material and bins for creating the warehouse request or warehouse task based on the configuration setting. Now, in case of the fixed bin product, there is a option, because you would have, like in ECC, we generally had only one T code through which we could update the, uh, uh, sorry, in ECC, we had just one field wherein we could update just one bin. But in EWM, you have an enhanced feature that you can assign multiple bins for a particular product as a fixed bin one. So this is the T code through which we can assign or create a linkage between the material and the bin. And you can also update the max and min quantity over here. Yeah. So as you can see in the screen, we have same product but multiple fixed bins assigned to that product. Now here we have an example that the minimum quantity is coming as 10 and the max quantity is coming as 100. So if our current stock falls below 10 quantity, then the replenishment functionality will work. So you have this option of creating a new row by assigning, wherein you can assign the bin and the batch and update the respective detail. This field means that if based on the slotting rearrangement process, system identify that this is not the optimum bin for the product to be stored in, then system will flag it. So now checking the status of the stock for this product using the warehouse monitor. In this transaction code, you have all these views. So here you can update the minimum replenishment quantity. So this is different from the minimum quantity which triggers the replenishment. The current stock is compared against this field. This one is the minimum replenishment quantity. So whatever you enter over here, so the quantity which is getting replenished will be a multiple of this value. From this, you can look at the from over here, you can get the details of the bins which are assigned to it. So right now we can see that. So this is my fixed bin from where we will be picking the product for the dispatches. So it already has the 100 stock available in the in the storage bin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this stock by creating a warehouse task to another storage type, so that the current stock becomes below than the minimum replenishment quantity. Now, once this task is initiated, the next step would be to execute the transaction code to generate the replenishment requirement. So like I said, so under the planned replenishment, we had three options: create part, which is to do with PSA. This is order based replenishment. This is the planned replenishment. Now I will activating the log option, execute it. So system has identified these are the products and these are the bin where the replenishment is required. Now, as you can see, the warehouse task immediate creation is not activated. So this comes from the configuration under the replenishment strategy, which we are going to look in a couple of minutes from now. So if I activate, system will directly create a warehouse task. If I don't activate it, system will create a warehouse request document. So we have got a warehouse request document. Now what we're going to do is either we can process it directly and convert it into the warehouse task and process it, or we can cancel it and I can change the configuration to look at direct creation of the warehouse task. So replenishment falls under the internal processing of the in the warehouse. So we will locate the warehouse request which is created as a result of the replenishment functionality. And we will refresh the stock. Now you can see that the bin ending with 07 is not there because I have moved all the stock to ST03, sorry, ST01 storage type. So total was 100 quantity, but because of the bin capacity and all, probably the stock has got split into 50 and 50 quantity. Now there are certain elements when it comes to the uh, you know setting up the replenishment strategy. One is First one is identify and set up the replenishment. Second one is third one is so these are the majorly main steps which needs to be performed. So system has located the warehouse request. I will create it. So this scenario which I'm talking about, this is the simplest possible scenario in any DC. Things are not as straightforward as I'm explaining here in general. Depends, but so this will give you a kind of high level information how it is, the functionality works. Now, so if we look at the configuration details now to set up the replenishment functionality, first thing would be to identify like what kind of replenishment strategy you want to use. And one thing is that you can enable all five replenishment strategies, unplanned and planned one for the same storage type. You need to ensure that you update the stock type here. So in maybe you will have multiple stock types, or multiple availability group where for which you want to, which are assigned to the storage types, and for which you want to, uh, you know, want the system to perform the replenishment, right? So you can leave it blank, and your SAP has given an option of updating the stock determination group in material master or the product master. All right. So since I have not updated the stock determination group, we will be leveraging the value from here. Then let me talk about storage type little bit. over here. So at the storage type also we need to set up like what kind of replenishment strategy or the option we want to use, whether it is for fixed bin wherein we will be updating the min max quantity, or whether we would want the all the dynamic bins to be updated, in a particular storage type, depending upon the min max quantity updated in material master. So F2 stock type, which I assigned over there in the warehouse, it is linked to the availability group, and availability group is linked to the storage location and plant in the configuration. For the order based replenishment, you need to activate rough bin determination. In the WPT, we can do that. Since it's a fixed bins, storage type, you need to ensure you have marked this checkbox. You can assign multiple fixed bins, and here is a limitation if you can impose and need to activate this checkbox. System can also assign the fixed bins, but if you don't want system to propose or assign a bin, do this. Now, once we have done the storage type and warehouse number settings, we can have a quick look at the WPT, which is known as the warehouse movement, type in EWM. Sorry, in WM in ECC. So here we have the process category as internal, activities REPL. These are the document type which will be used for creation of the, this is the document type which will be used for the creation of warehouse request document. This is the rough bin determination which will come handy in the our planned replenishment strategy order based. Now, other than this, now we will have a look at the configuration. Like I mentioned, you can activate all the possible, strategies for one storage type if it suits your business process. So we have this one over here. We have activated the planned replenishment, which is based on the min max quantity. You update or assign the warehouse process type over here. Yeah, it's up to you to decide available or physical quantity which you want to use. This one is relevant if you are activating the strategy which is direct replenishment. Then you have to update this one and assign the storage type from where the picking has to happen, or a storage type group. If you want system to create the warehouse task immediately as part of the replenishment functionality instead of creating the request, you need to activate it. And as the name goes, this is what it is. These are the used for the calculation of the time it will require to complete the activities. So I'm skipping that. This one we have already seen, like for 3010, we had those document type and item type assigned. So once we have done this setting, the important piece over here is that so far we have set up everything around like how the replenishment will get triggered, how it will work and all that. But from where the system has to pick the stock, this is what we are talking about now. So there is something called stock removal indicator. We update these indicators in the material master. Then just one second. So we have the stock removal indicators. So let's backtrack it since I've already set up this system. So we have this indicator updated in the material master, and we assign it to the, so you can see that we can have the same indicator assigned to the product or material master, but in this table we can, based on the WPT, suppose for the return processing you want system to move the stock to a different storage type, although we are in the stock removal part, but I'm just talking about put away here a little bit. So if you want the system to divert the stock to a different storage type, if it is for returns it shouldn't go to this storage type and all that, then you can leverage the stock, this kind of combination which EWM is given. So based on the WPT, which will be specific for your returns and all, you can leverage it. this is referring to pointing towards the storage type search sequence. So in WM we had those 30 columns, in T33 T table, I think. So instead of that, what SAP has done is in EWM is that they have given it, instead of column wise, they have given it as a row wise, and there is no limitation of 30 as such, although we never get to use all those. So here is that storage type search sequence wherein there is a sequence. If we had multiple storage type, we could have listed down like this in the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4 in the sequence of priority. So this is the storage type from which system will determine the stock for the stock removal process. So it's important that in your product master, you do update the stock removal indicator. Otherwise it won't work. Uh, I think that's pretty much about it. And we have already seen the foreground process flow, how it works and all that. So this is a very basic and very simple form of scenario which I've taken for the replenishment one.